That is the hardest part of that ring.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
For the hardest part of the ring.
Hello, everybody, and welcome
The hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode 130 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where four friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. My name is Adam and I am excited because we've had a week off and I'm full of vim and vigour. Sam, are you?
I am so up for this pod. Yes.
Oh my God. Okay,
Yes,
John.
this pod.
I'm not quite that level. I had a long day, but I'm up for it.
Okay. And what about you, Brett?
Yeah, I feel I've had a long day, but this will be fun. It'll wake me up.
Good.
Always does.
I'm pleased. I'm pleased to hear this because I know the week before when we were talking about Hell in a Cell, that was our last episode.
The greatest pay-per-view ever.
we had some mixed feelings going into that one, so it's nice to know we're all fairly hyped. As I said, that was the last podcast. If you want to go and check out our review of that, that was a controversial podcast. The opinions were probably the widest ranging we've ever had.
Very polarising.
Yeah.
There was love, there was hate.
Two camps as well. Two
I
distinct
don't feel
camps
like
on the Hardest Part pod.
Brett and me did not hate you guys.
No, but you hated a couple of those matches that we loved.
Yes.
And Roman Reigns and Jey Uso have been doing some great stuff on SmackDown. Come on. Reigns I love Reigns.
Even like Jay. Did you see Jay crying in the ring? Oh my God, it was heartbreaking.
I've seen a lot of tears in wrestling recently. I think I'm
I like it.
teared out.
I like it. I like big men crying. Should be a Tumblr. I might set up that. Actually. Along with my wrestlers and neck braces. Big men crying.
I'd be very happy to see that. I was going to say subscribe. Do you subscribe to Tumblrs? What do you do with Tumblrs?
Is
Follow them?
Tumblr still a thing?
I don't know. I used it because it was old. I was going to go Bebo, but I thought that might be too much.
Didn't Tumblr try to remove all porn from its service? And I'm not sure if that ever worked
You've been
out
searching
for them.
hard. Did they succeed?
No, I remember reading like Tumblr are no longer servicing adult content or something, and just thinking like, yeah, okay, good luck with that. Try to remove porn from the internet.
Says porn stash over there.
Ouch.
Anyway, this podcast, the majority of it is going to be about AEW Full Gear 2020. But before we do that, we're going to talk about possibly our favourite promotion, NXT UK. Because
favourite.
And I'm sure the majority of our listeners, if not all of them, will have heard about this and will have seen it, probably watched it before we did, because they're all the cool kids. They're wrestling hipsters, unlike us. Volta versus Ilya Dragunov for the NXT UK Championship, just on a random Wednesday night in front of no crowd at all, had a fucking amazing match. John, you were the person who got on the WhatsApp and said, we have to watch it.
Yeah, because I logged into the WWE app to watch Halloween Havoc, the NXT thing, which was also brilliant.
God, I thought you were talking about the WCW thing. I was like, really? What's wrong with you, John?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great show. There's some great Halloween Havocs. Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero. Oh, it's a killer.
Everyone always goes to that match, but what other Halloween Havocs can you name?
None. Anyway, on the little spotlight ad, they had Walter versus Ilya Dragunov at NXT TakeOver. I was like, oh, hello. I'll give that a little gander first. And like, there was some stuff in it that made my house shake. Like, there was some of the German suplexes. My whole house shook. It was crazy.
You guys, because I know I watched it pretty much straight away afterwards, and as with any heavily recommended matches, spent the first like 5 minutes going, oh yeah, come on then, prove it, and then before long I was like, fucking hell. But I know Brett and Sam took a while to get around to this. Brett, you said you watched it today. Sam, have you watched it?
I watched it 15 minutes ago.
Fresh.
Okay. And what did you think?
I think have they revived Ilya Dragunov yet? Has anyone checked in on him? Because
I want to see the aftermath of like when all those welts got to really bruise over. I need to see that image, because boy did he go red raw at the end.
would it have been as good a match and as cool if he was English and he was just saying all the stuff he was saying in English with like a Geordie accent or something?
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
Wouldn't have been as cool, would it? It wouldn't have been as cool.
This
know.
match was so good.
Yeah, I don't know. It gave me vibes of Walter versus Speedball and Walter versus Tyler Bate. I thought, Walter generally is hard hitting, but man, like forget the shouting on Besiege bar, which is cool, but like all those across his neck, I had such bad sympathy neck pains watching that match. Like seriously, I was just like, oh my, the pain, like those meat cleavers of hands, he just like slams them against him.
I think it might be because of both of their entrance musics, but man, I wish I could have watched this match in black and white.
Yes.
yeah, that'd be good.
It was such a cinematic, hard-hitting match, this. I would go as far to say as I think this is the best match I've seen this year.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that, and I think I agree. And there was a lot of thought about, wouldn't it have been great to have a crowd? But then the counterpoint to that is you wouldn't have heard a lot of that sound of flesh on flesh.
I genuinely, first of all, I would say like this is, for me, at least a 5-star match. I did miss
at least
a 5-star match.
Wow.
But like I would say, I did miss the crowd in this.
Yeah.
The comms was annoying, right? I found the comms very annoying. Even Nigel wasn't at his best, but the other guy, I thought he was terrible.
I don't know. I sort of switch off with the comms sometimes when a match is like that, because it totally like engrosses me that I don't really hear what they're saying.
I think the point when Dragunov bounces off the ropes, clips his neck, set a tone for the whole match, where it just went from this is a match to this is a brutal fight that you are about to witness. And
Walter is terrifying, right? Like
scary.
the size of the man, and like in like they said, like he just imposed himself like on Ilya in that match. Like the just the size of his arms, the size of his hands, the guy's like a giant. It just was terrifying. To me, that was terrifying.
And such a great wrestler as well for a guy that size. Like just the way he works it, and oh my god, it's a masterpiece.
I think the thing that was most impressive for me is that I have not been impressed by Dragunov up to this point. Like I'd seen a handful of his matches and was not into any of them.
Dear.
And this is the first match where I've actually thought, you know what? No, he's got the stuff here. This is really good.
Yeah,
so
he could take an absolute beating.
Happy to be proved wrong there. But not only that, like the German suplexes on Volta.
Yeah, right.
Unbelievable.
Insane.
Oh, and he did that deadlift where he like went underneath to like lift him, like deadlifted Walter into a suplex. Unbelievable.
It wasn't like it was just one as well. There's loads. Oh, guys, we're going to need to talk about something else. Otherwise, we could go on about this match for
I know. I was just thinking of some other bits that I wanted to talk about on it, but then I was like, no, we've got 8 matches to talk about. Potentially, we've got a 3-hour, 45-minute pay-per-view to get through, which is, of course, going to be AEW Full Gear 2020. And I suddenly weirdly went into weird voiceover mode then. You're listening to BBC Radio 2. Coming up after this.
Adam, we've asked you to not audition on the podcast.
Yeah, I fucked it. And I'm not going to get my job at BBC Radio 2. Let's talk about AEW Full Gear 2020 after this.
And Ripley, backdrop, spine first on the hardest part of the ring.
AEW Full Gear 2020 was held at Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville.
So you're from Jacksonville, kicking it like Buffalo Bill.
Man, there's so many new metal references to Jacksonville.
The attendance was 1,000, apparently, according to Wikipedia.
It looked
Do you
like
think
a
there
lot.
were that many?
I think it looked more, like in the back.
I mean, I don't understand how they count attendance nowadays. Is it kind of like you take the total number, you subtract all your employees, and that's your attendance, or is it?
Or does Billy Gunn count towards?
God, could you imagine being sat next to Billy Gunn? That'd be hard work, wouldn't it?
It'd be a very tough life being Austin Gunn.
We had the comms team of Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, and a little guest appearance from Don Callis, which is pretty cool.
Lovely
Always
to
a
see.
welcome appearance.
Yeah.
Knew you guys would be happy. The card, it was fairly lengthy. I must admit, I was a bit concerned going into this that we were going to have a super, super, super long pay-per-view, but I think they could do 5 hours and I actually wouldn't be that fussed. What was on the card, Sam?
So on the buy-in, Brett, Serena Deeb versus Alison Kay for the NWA Women's Championship.
I would have watched this if you guys hadn't said it was a 4-hour pay-per-view.
Cool.
Yeah, I thought it was 4 hours and it turned out it was 3:45, so you probably could have watched that and it would have been on 4 hours.
Main card, Kenny Omega versus Hangman Adam Page in the Eliminator Tournament final. The Dark Order's number 4, John Silver versus freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. Darby Allin versus reigning champion Cody Rhodes.
It's back. The surname's back.
For the TNT
I felt so
Championship.
good when they said that out loud on the comms and the announcer. It felt great. I loved it.
I can't believe WWE stole his surname from him. It's wild, that.
Yeah.
I love that. He didn't need it. He proved himself. He didn't need that name to get along.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'll take it back.
I tell you what, I was thinking during this pay-per-view, out of everyone WWE have lost or let go over the years, I'm starting to think Cody might be the biggest regret.
Yeah, or John Moxley.
It's between those two, isn't it?
I mean, yes, but they would never allow them to be what they can be, which is the flip side, big regret, but also like this wouldn't have materialised for either of those guys.
It's like Serge Gnabry for Arsenal. Seeing what he's doing at Bayern Munich, he'd never have got that chance at Arsenal. He wouldn't have developed into that player. I feel another spin-off pod coming on. There aren't enough football pods.
Also on the card, Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero for the AEW Women's Championship. The Young Bucks versus FTR for the AEW Tag Team titles. Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara in an Elite Deletion match. Chris Jericho versus MJF with the stipulation that if MJF wins, he may join the Inner Circle, him and Wardlow. And the main event was John Moxley versus Eddie Kingston for the AEW World Championship in an I Quit match.
Wow. Amazing reading through that. Just thinking about how much we've got to talk about.
Yeah.
In a good way, because there was just so much to this pay-per-view. It was so eventful, so many different types of match, and we're going to try and talk about as much of it as we possibly can. And we're going to start off with key matches as usual. We have picked out 3 of the key matches to go in deep on. And we're going to kick things off with what was the first match of the card. It was Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega. Sam, what do you think?
Kenny Omega's pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's not bad.
Yeah.
He's a decent wrestler.
Next match.
I don't know.
And Hangman Adam Page, also very good. This was a lovely, lovely start to the pay-per-view. Really
it was amazing, wasn't it?
good match. Yeah.
Yeah. So happy when this was the first match. Like, right, here we go.
Were you surprised though? I was quite surprised this first match.
I was as well. I think, so obviously kind of the very first thing that happens in the match is we're introduced to Don Callis calling the match, which is a wonderful reintroduction. And just the idea of AEW acknowledging there's other wrestling out there and that Don Callis is an Impact EVP, but there's
Yeah, they
other
even mentioned Impact
promotions.
by name, didn't they? Like,
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
AEW's the best. But yeah, so I'm not even sure where to start with this. It was a real...
Okay, so far we've got they're both good wrestlers. That's fantastic. Okay, Brett.
It's
I don't want to be
true,
harsh, Sam. Go on.
This is just a really solid match from the very beginning all the way to the end. The whole story throughout the match and the fact that kind of from the get-go when they don't shake hands and you just realise there's a bit of bad blood here. 2 tag team title holders now up against each other. It had all the makings of a lovely tournament ending and it was just a great match. Kind of the way they played it out with the kind of knowing each other's moves from their time as tag team really paid off here.
Yeah.
And just very enjoyable.
There's a lot of chops as well. I love a lot of chops. A lot of chops in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you enjoy it, Brett?
Kenny was even sporting the bruising at the end when he came out, wasn't he? I love this as well. Love both these guys, obviously. Who doesn't? In the beginning parts of the match, I was actually starting to think with Kenny, I was like, has he been put through the ringer too much? Like he's still really, really good, but I just thought, is he off the pace of New Japan Kenny that?
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's always.
But
in the back
I thought
of your
the
head.
same thing.
Yeah.
That was going, but then like as the match ramped up and shit got heavy hitting and like in moments a bit scary with moves being hit, I was just like, okay, like this is awesome. He's awesome, because there were some terrifying moments in this, but like the tone set straight off. Like early doors, they had the bit by the ropes and Kenny was up on the turnbuckle and Hangman ran straight there and hit like a superplex, like from the get-go, like one of the first moves. It was just so nice hitting such a big move so early, because these guys can ramp it up and up and up, and which they did. But I mean, we'll go over so many points in this because there was so much cool stuff.
There was.
Well, I was surprised at how short this match was. I don't know.
How long was it?
I don't know. It felt quite short, because I was expecting this to be like 30 minutes. Like it feels like they've been building this for like 2 years, like at least a year, right?
Yeah, no, it was only about 15 minutes long or so. So yeah, it was quite a quick one especially as far as Kenny Omega matches go.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's because this is like first step, right? They want to give a lot of stuff away for future fights, but
yeah, I've got an idea on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
fancy booking.
Well, so because I was thinking like later on, I was thinking, who's Moxley going to drop the belt to? Like when it happens, who's he going to drop it to? And my thoughts are, it's got to be Kenny.
Yeah.
And then so like I thought Hangman can't go over at this point, because Hangman's got to go at Kenny for the strap.
Yeah,
they've got a lovely storyline going with Hangman about how he always loses these big moments as well.
Yeah,
like
so
the Jericho
I just think
one,
like,
this one.
That's another build, and I think that's Hangman's moment. So
the stuff with Hangman at the moment is so good. Anything they're doing on BTE, just absolutely excellent. If you haven't seen this week's one, the Full Gear Fallout, really worth checking out, because it just kind of hammers home a lot of those storylines and kind of the consequences of them.
It's difficult with BTE because I don't watch it, and I often feel, I know it's not an AEW product, but there's just quite often stuff that I don't really get when I'm watching, and then I'll go and read a review and they'll be like, oh, and that referenced that BTE episode. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I mean, a lot of people watching don't know that stuff. It's not the end of the world, but
this has always been a fair criticism of BTE, is that kind of, it's very much an in-joke kind of situation where a lot of stuff going on, if you're not following like all of this stuff outside of wrestling that happens with these guys, it kind of gets a bit lost on them. But a lot of the core overall stuff, so at the moment kind of Hangman basically being depressed is his whole thing at the moment, is just like the ending this week was just a very good ending for BTE, very kind of interesting story-wise as to where it's going. Possibly him joining the Dark Order. Who knows?
No.
I don't know.
That'd be a curveball.
You look so... You don't look on board with any of that, do you, Adam?
Well, no, not really. But again, if I watch BTE, maybe I would be on board with it. I do feel like with this match, like I thought it was really good, but let's go, I think, we're right. Basically, the big match between these two, the 5-star match, the absolute, like, majorly incredible match between the pair of them is going to come at a later day, and it would make sense for it to be a title match with Kenny. I just felt like they left some in the tank, and maybe that makes sense. This is the end of the tournament, and their feud isn't just going to die down now. They've got too much history, and I think we'll look back and go, this was a very good match, but the best is definitely yet to come.
That's a very fair assessment.
Like, one of my favourite moments of the whole night, actually, was when Kenny got Hangman up for the One-Winged Angel, and Hangman was desperately trying to fight out of it. Like, up until the moment his head hit the mat, he was still trying to fight out of that One-Winged Angel. I've never seen anyone do that before, and it was awesome.
Yeah, and it still gets hit perfectly.
Yeah. Kenny makes the One-Winged Angel just look such a brutal finisher.
It must be so hard to do as well, to get someone up like that.
That camera angle they've been doing from, like, above, the bird's eye view of it, like down as well, that looked great. They did that a few times on some stuff, and it just made it look so good.
And of course, buckshot lariat, best move in wrestling.
It's up there.
He didn't get a chance to pull it out though, did he?
I
think he missed it.
He tried it a couple of times, but it got countered. I was like, that was my big gutted and regret of this match, is that I didn't get to see a buckshot lariat.
This feeds into Adam's point of there's a bit more in the tank. Like, you know, does Kenny Omega kick out of a buckshot lariat? Like, it's interesting to think about that for future matches.
Yeah. What about the Tiger Driver 98, where I think in this pay-per-view there were quite a few sort of nasty heads smashing onto the canvas, but that one in particular I thought looked pretty nasty.
Yeah,
that did. There was also Hangman hit a pop-up powerbomb on Kenny on the ramp.
Love that move.
And the whiplash
his head,
on that was just so painful. Like it hurts, something chronic, but on a hard surface like that, oh my days. And then he took another one in the ring straight away after.
Come on, Kenny, get back up. We're doing it again.
I mean, there was also the Deadeye on just off the stairs, next to the stairs. Like, the moves in this match, just all of them looked so painful, and the selling was excellent as well. I really enjoyed Kenny Omega going for the "you can't escape" and then kind of stumbling, and then sort of, if you think about it, for me, WWE would be like, oh, it didn't get all of it there or something.
Yeah.
Whereas they actually really sell the commentary oh, no, he's hurt his leg there, he's struggling. It's kind of, I really appreciate all of this match and really enjoyed it.
Great start to the pay-per-view.
And a great start to the podcast. Right, guys?
Yeah.
Next match, key match, is going to be the tag team match, which was between the Young Bucks and FTR. A match years in the making. One that most wrestling fans have wanted to see for a very, very long time. Did it disappoint? Brett?
Did it disappoint?
I don't necessarily think it did. I just thought I'd ask.
That's a very leading question.
Yeah, well...
Was it shit?
Yes and
Brett?
no. Yes and no.
Okay.
Because I have to say, for the first chunk of this match, I was I wasn't as straight off engaged as I was in the kickoff match with Hangman and Kenny, and I was really excited about this match, but it just seemed to not be hitting, I don't know, the right marks or something early on. But
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It built and built and built, and then at the end, it was it was an amazing match. I actually think they have a better match in them. I don't know, maybe it is because of all the hype, or maybe seeing what the Young Bucks do with the Lucha Brothers and stuff is just off the charts. So maybe they, because FTR, they're a different type of tag.
Yeah,
team.
Proper Southern tag wrestling.
Yeah, they're they're classic heels with the classic moves and stuff. I mean, let's face it was fucking crazy towards the end with what's his name now? Dash Wheeler?
Cash Wheeler.
Cash Wheeler. It's just their names being so similar but different, it's just totally thrown me. Trying to hit a 450 and stuff. I was like, I didn't know he had that in his locker.
Wild.
Yeah. I was like, and it was pitch perfect, apart from obviously not landing it. But yeah, and then they did, which was nice, the callback to all the great tag teams with those sequence of Hardy Boy moves and the Dudleys and stuff, which was nice.
They did the DIY thing as well, and even commentary said it was a DIY thing, which was cool.
And the Heart Attack and the Steinerizer, lots of reference to tag teams. I really like this match a lot. Really like it a lot. I think it's certainly not what I was expecting it to be, and I think kind of my issue with it is that kind of there was not enough Nick Jackson in this match. It felt like it was Matt Jackson against FTR.
I think
even though he had the injury.
Yeah, that's kind of... And I get it from FTR's point of view, keep the injured guy in the ring.
Yeah.
But I feel like it didn't ever have that hot tag moment where Nick ran in and kind of laid a beat down or anything like that. It had moments. Nick obviously did his jump out onto the apron, do the flip, the bulldog into the clothesline. But other than that, I don't feel like he turned up as much as the other three men in this match.
No, and you'd say, in my opinion, Nick's the best of of those, all the guys in that ring. Like,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal.
Yeah, JR was saying that he could be a standalone singles wrestler, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Which I think's probably right.
Which one was this, sorry?
JR was talking about Nick Jackson, one half of the Young Bucks, in the match we're talking about.
Sorry, I was drifted off for a second. I look at my notes.
in the room.
I was like,
What's
I've got
that?
a
What's
good
that?
point to say. When am I going to? No, I've lost it.
What do we think about the fact that the Young Bucks, if they lost, they were never going to challenge again? Obviously, copying Cody. AEW do a lot of this kind of stuff, don't they? There's always some stipulations. There's always something riding on a match.
I like it because it's like old school wrestling, right? It's like, I imagine like a Terry Funk match. Like every Terry Funk match is like a loser leaves town match or something like that.
Yeah.
Loser has to retire.
It doesn't happen.
I wrote down, I was like, oh, AEW do this too much. And then as I was writing it down, I was like, well, you're just being a complete Scrooge. Like, it's fun. Like, this is fun. It's just wrestling.
We all know, like, you know, it doesn't have to be like the truth as well. Like,
Well, yeah, exactly.
time will pass, and
Yeah.
you know, Cody Rhodes will get his shot at the big belt, and you know, all this stuff. It'll just happen, and we'll all be fine with it.
We won't be. I'll be upset by that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sam will be upset.
It's like when Spider-Man dies in the Marvel books. Just enjoy the story. He'll be back in a couple of weeks. That's fine. Just enjoy it now. This was my match of the night, by the way. I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah, I mean, I could 100%
Yeah.
get behind that. I loved the story of this match, and I think the ending was perfect.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
the fact that in the end, all it took was FTR to stray away from their values first, and that's
Yeah.
what made the difference.
That was perfect, wasn't it?
What a really well-told story.
Yeah, and I think what was it? Cash Wheeler, I thought he was absolutely outstanding during this match. He was flying
agreed.
all over the
Yeah.
place, like doing spears through the ropes, doing the 450.
They had that amazing spot where he goes to break up, or he goes to stop Nick from breaking up the pin, and Nick just moves out of the way, and he sort of like suicide dives out of the
Towards
ring.
the end, yeah.
That was so good.
Yeah, it was Dax Harwood who took the hand injury, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I tell you what, between this and Hell in a Cell, wrestling is really making us think about what is the hardest part of the ring in recent times.
I did like with that he went to the doctor and they strapped him up and he got back. I thought that was kind of cool. I know it probably wasn't scripted and stuff, but I quite like they just looked
thought it was
after
really good.
looked after him and got back in on with it. Nice.
Yeah.
Did you see the bit where Nick got power slammed into the medic table? Or whatever it was?
Yeah.
And that was
Rough.
weird because he kind of bounced off, didn't he? And then they didn't go to him, but it looked like he had a nasty landing.
Yeah.
One point that really impressed me was, I'm just trying to think, Dax Harwood countering Matt's, so he had him set up for the Meltzer driver, and they kind of didn't catch it all on camera, but at some point in time, Dax Harwood managed to flip a Meltzer driver upside down and turn it into the Spike Pile driver, which blows my mind.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened because they cut away, wasn't it? Because it's just as went for
This
the
was
table.
as Nick was going through the table. There's just a lot going on in this match, but I think it was a slow burner, and it hit
Yeah.
a point which was a really, really solid finish.
It definitely did ramp up.
Yeah,
Which is
it did.
good, because it is what you want, isn't it? You want to like build into these matches.
And it's impressive because like we've all been talking about this match for years, and to actually do it and for it to be killer is amazing.
Yeah, even the ending with Omega coming out and celebrating with them, and then you can see in the tunnel Hangman.
Yeah, Hangman just standing there. I
Wonderful.
thought that was sweet.
Just great stuff.
I thought it was all right.
Young back hater, come on. Do you know
No,
what?
I
Actually, I miss the spot fests of the Young Bucks matches. I don't think they do the spot fests anymore.
Who are the Young Backs?
Sorry, did I say Young Bucks?
Yeah, there was a bit right at the start where they did this sort of synchronized. What move was it that they all did at the same time?
Hurricanranas into the
punches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. We're going to get all the choreography at the start here. But no, I like them a lot more than I used to. But I think the main takeaway from me that made me enjoy it and really like the match was all the little references and all the little tribute moves. And especially, like you said, like the fact that they did I Googled this to find out what that DIY move is called.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently it's just called Meeting in the Middle.
Rubbish.
It's just a strange name.
terrible. I mean, I might have got that wrong, but it seemed to be the case on Wikipedia. And as we know from previous episodes, that's where I get all my info from. But how fucking cool is that? Because obviously they have a massive history with DIY.
Yeah. Really, really cool.
And you just would never get anything like that in WWE. And I know we're always comparing, but it's just refreshing. It's not saying WWE is shit because AEW do this. It's just refreshingly different. And I think we appreciate it.
Wrestling doesn't exist in a vacuum. And this is what AEW do the best, is that they acknowledge there's other wrestling out there and it's good. And it doesn't matter if that's Impact, New Japan, or even NXT. They're happy to be just part of the landscape.
It's sort of that sport approach, isn't it? Because the reality of sport is there are other leagues there, going on in the same country, in different countries. And then you're all talking about, those players or, this fight or for this, belt rather than that belt, because there's a million different belts in boxing.
It makes it feel much more legit. It does.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think the thing is that AEW, which has a much less authoritarian approach to its management, acknowledges the fact that there's other wrestling out there. And I think kind of a lot of the WWE wrestlers acknowledge AEW is out there, but obviously kind of you've got a tyrant at the helm, and it just kind of makes things a bit difficult.
Yeah, you're right. Anyway, it was a good match, and particularly because both teams, obviously Matt had his ankle injury, which was very real life injury, right? So that that affected things potentially with what they would have wanted to have done, and then Dax dealing with his gash in his hand. Was, they dealt with it all brilliantly, I thought.
Good,
very
stuff.
Good. Well done, everyone. Okay, so the final key match is going to be the main event, which was, of course, for the AEW Championship. It was Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston, a match that if we'd been told about even 3 months ago or maybe 4 months ago, we'd have been like, what?
Yeah.
Eddie Kingston, that guy we've seen on the indies and has been at Progress. And are you serious? But it fucking happened. He came, he had his little spot on telly, people fucking loved it, and here he is having a title match. What do you think of it, John?
Yeah, I mean, I was in a bit of a bad mood yesterday, and I was like, God, I just want to watch two men bleed. And luckily, I had Moxley versus Kingston to satisfy that need. I thought this match was good. I didn't think it was great. I don't like these matches generally, but it was a little bit slow. But there was some cool stuff in it. Like, who doesn't love thumbtacks, right? That was cool. But then to get the rubbing alcohol out of the doctor's bag and douse him in that, I thought that was pretty sweet. And it was definitely brutal. Like, they took lumps out of each other. And I thought the finish was super killer. Like, with the barbed wire around Moxie's arm, just strangling Kingston, and then both sort of in tears.
What do you think of Eddie Kingston as a wrestler?
I don't think I've seen enough of him wrestling yet.
I would possibly say that I think Eddie Kingston is the best guy on the mic in the company.
My God, yeah. I mean, that promo on Dynamite was insane. Like, so
little
good.
nose to nose. That made me feel quite uncomfortable.
Little Eskimo kisses. Like, ooh, lovely, lovely.
All those particles going from mouth to mouth at this time. I know they were doing tests, but it's just weird. It's traumatic for people to watch.
Referencing BTE again, it's worth checking out his post-match. They did a post-match interview with him, and it is just fantastic. Proper, highest quality of promo that you can possibly see, in my opinion.
Because I mean, it would be great. I was hoping he was going to win this. I knew he probably wasn't, but I was hoping he was, because I think he would be such a cool champ. Like, just his body type, the way he talks on the mic, I think it would be wicked.
I called this wrong. I thought he was going to win.
Really?
I really thought Kingston was going to win.
No, I didn't.
Really?
No, I didn't. That ring gear. Like,
he looked like a Bronx Power Ranger.
Yeah, he did look like a Bronx Power Ranger.
I mean, he doesn't look like a champ. Like, and it's not even talking about his body type now. It's just that ring gear. Oh, my days.
It was definitely out of place, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's not championship material.
It's sort of... It fits with what he does usually wear. I don't think he'd like trying to get all jazzy, although I don't think he's done like I mean, I could be completely wrong, but like the silvery or the shiny green. But
it was a homage to someone, wasn't it? Masawa, I think it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, that's good knowledge, John.
Fucking cool ring gear, I just wanted to say. That homage Let's get rid of all the other stuff we said.
I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah, I liked it. I tell you what, I thought this whole pay-per-view was amazing, but I think the last 3 matches killed the momentum a bit for me.
I'm totally on board with you, John.
Young
I'm
Bucks,
the same. I didn't
FTR
love it.
should have main evented this pay-per-view, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you on
Yeah,
that.
actually, what's the are they just sticking with the champ has to be the main eventer?
Feels like
Even though
I quite
that
like
match that they've been building up for since they were in WWE still.
The thing is that if you make the Young Bucks versus FTR the main event, there's maybe going to be talking backstage of, you're just putting yourselves in the main event here. Why are you doing that? Whereas John Moxley, Eddie Kingston are not, EVPs of the company or anything like that.
Yeah, but Young Bucks versus FTR is main event anywhere. Like, everyone knows those 2 tag teams.
Yeah.
I just think Eddie Kingston's just got so much attention and heat and interest, and people want to see. And obviously, the promo we talked about on Dynamite, and just every single promo he's ever done on AEW just means that I think people were interested. I think people probably would want this to be the main event, especially the fact that it's a no quit match, or sorry, no quit. What is no quit? Nobody quits.
I
ever.
quit. No, you're not allowed.
But yeah, the fact that it was an I quit sort of made you think that it could end up going on for a long time, and I don't know. I think it made sense to be the main event, but I really liked it. There were some bits where I was cringing and I was like grabbing my head, being like, "Oh shit!" Especially, obviously, the wrapped barbed wire around the fist with the punches, because Eddie Kingston, everything Eddie Kingston does is real. Right? every move he does looked real. Every single punch. The fact they started off with a proper slugfest,
yeah,
and then a
that
chop
looked nasty,
fest
yeah.
immediately after, loads of massive chops. They were just basically having a fight, and I think Mox loves that kind of match.
Well, yeah,
and I think
that's
they were
an
great
absolute
together.
throwback to Moxley's kind of original persona before kind of all the WWE. The big question, I think, is what's the best I Quit match you've seen in the last 2 months?
Well, we know it's the Uso versus Roman Reigns.
Is
isn't
it, though?
John?
I would say that was the Uso Reigns match is better than the Moxie Kingston one.
I prefer
Oh
it.
my days!
No.
Let's not get back onto this,
I
guys.
didn't even love this match, but I still preferred this match to that one.
I think these are 2 very different approaches to I Quit matches.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I did enjoy the fact that they have a barbed wire wrapped baseball bat and they actually use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Like,
they really did
none of
use
this,
it.
like having these, weapons that you don't really use. Like the sledgehammer. Like, I'm not saying hit someone with a sledgehammer, but gimmick a sledgehammer or something. Like rather than hitting someone with your hand, Triple H style. Like I like it being used.
The one point at the match which made me really worry more than anything was when Kingston picked up the handful of tacks and just slapped Moxley in the face with it, because it was just like,
It stuck
oh
into
my
his head,
god,
didn't
what
they?
if you'd got him in the eye there?
There's
mean-
no controlling those loose tacks, is there?
It's just
I thought he was going to
wild.
shove them in his mouth.
Yeah,
having
me
seen that in
too.
a couple of matches
Me
previously, probably Jimmy Havoc matches. Oh, I said
No,
the JH.
Adam.
That's okay. We're talking about a kind of a death match. Anyway, I'll tell you what I did really enjoy again. We all love the comms. We think, it's just such a great team, the 3 of them, I think. Even though JR really does have his moments, including one at the end of this match, which I'll mention in a minute. But I loved Excalibur during this. Obviously, he has a shared history with these guys.
I had no idea about that, about the Eddie Kingston
Yeah.
stuff. That was lovely.
Referencing the road trips they've been on and all that kind of stuff. Just amazing. I mean, could you imagine Michael Cole has ever been on a road trip with any of the wrestlers? No way is he allowed in. No way. He's getting a cab by himself, or
He's getting
walking.
kicked out of a moving vehicle.
Yeah. But
Do you know what?
love that.
I'm sort of in a real cringe way, really enjoying all the moments between JR and Shivani that just seem to not hit the mark. They seem to be like totally confused with each other at moments.
Yeah, like a granddad.
And I love it.
A couple of granddads having a chat. It's charming.
I thought JR was great on this, actually. I've come around to him a big way, actually. I thought
Yeah.
when we first started on the AEW stuff, I was a bit like, I'm not so sure about JR anymore, but I like it.
Well, I might have got this wrong, but as far as I'm aware, the final thing that JR said at the end of the match about Mox was that he was the fightingness champion of all pro wrestling.
That's a fine
yeah,
sentence.
that's all right.
The fightingness.
Yeah.
It's better
Put it on a
than
t-shirt.
obviously during the Hardy match where he would just refer to Gangrel by his real name.
Yeah, that was so weird.
That was funny.
Yeah.
But that's entertaining. I like it was so weird, but I loved all those moments, I have to say.
Oh dear. Anyway, wrap things up on this match, Sam. You've been chomping at the bit to say something.
No, just an excellent match overall. Just kind of, I think it was a real love letter to kind of what Jon Moxley, his kind of original love in wrestling was. He was a deathmatch wrestler before the Shield, before kind of just being this badass man. He was kind of ultimately a deathmatch wrestler. He originally, when he joined WWE, the idea was he was going to get into a feud with Mick Foley, and his storyline was going to be that he started doing all this deathmatch extreme stuff, copying Foley, and basically disliked him for it. So, you can tell it's a real passion for Moxley.
Yeah, I think if he wasn't married to Renee Young, he'd be doing Tournament of Death every year.
Yeah.
Under a mask, but he'd be doing it.
So, yeah.
Imagine that.
Excellent match for me.
Great story, great storytelling in this match, though. Good.
Came to an end with the Bulldog choke with the barbed wire. Great end. Eddie saying, "I quit."
Yeah.
Loved it. Really loved it. Shame. I mean, I don't know. Does Eddie have a brother? It'd be great if his brother had run out and had offered to take like a move for him, because that kind of works in I quit matches.
Leave Kofi out of this.
Okay. John, I was waiting for you to connect on that much sooner.
It took me a while. It did take me a while. It's like, what, his brother? I was thinking Kofi Kingston. I was like, why is Kofi Kingston going to be running out to this? Oh, he's doing the Jey Uso thing. Yes, Jey Uso. I love that match.
Okay, well, that was the key matches, the 3 main matches. But of course, there were 5 other matches on here. And I'm just going to say it. I don't think there was a bad match. I think they were all good to very good to great. So, best of the rest. I get to pick my first moment or match. Could be a moment, could be a whole match. I think I'm going to go for a whole match. I'm kind of in 2 minds, but I'm going to go for this match purely because of the moment at the start, which, guys, I think is one of the best things I've seen all year, either just on any form of entertainment.
Okay.
It was Jericho's entrance. When he came out in that jacket, I was like, fuck yes, that is an incredible jacket. Then we saw Everton guy from NXT.
Oh yeah, Kyle.
Yeah, wearing his... Oh yeah, shit, who we've spoken to on Twitter. If you're listening, then sorry, Kyle, not Everton guy. He was fucking loving it. But obviously Judas played, and the bit where the music stopped and the whole crowd carried on singing, I got proper goosebumps because that was like live performance.
Right, what you are describing is exactly what John and me were talking about the last AEW pay-per-view when they did the same thing for Jericho, and it was just a really moving, like, oh, this is adorable.
What? Was I there for that?
I don't know, because I feel like you would have said it if you were. That was All Out, I think.
Yeah, it must have been All Out. You there for All Out?
No, you weren't.
There you go.
You missed it.
I didn't watch All Out. Okay, well, I'm a twat because I'm basically saying everything people have already
No, but
months ago.
It's so true. Like,
It's
that
lovely,
moment,
right? Yeah.
It was amazing, and the thing that kind of made it for me is that obviously Jericho comes out, he's a cocky heel, but he's smiling and he almost looks close to tears.
Yeah, 100%.
And of course, it's a couple of, like, he turns 50 today. Happy fucking birthday, Chris Jericho! At the time of recording, it is his 50th birthday. And I'm sure he's missing performing, even though I think I've seen that he's done a couple of shows probably with no social distancing. But still, that crowd sounded absolutely amazing, and I got goosebumps. And that's like, this is back-to-back goosebumps in pay-per-views I've had.
Oh,
and
wow.
John, if we'd watched this together,
Man.
we could have done back-to-back goosebumps. We could have just put our goosebumpy backs together.
I don't know if my wife is going to be down for that.
But anyway, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I could probably have that as my best of the rest moment. But I will also include the rest of the match as well, because I very much enjoyed it. It wasn't the greatest, but there was lots to enjoy.
The finish of that match I thought was really cool. Like,
Fun,
really
fun
funny,
finish.
clever. Yeah, lovely.
I think if we'd been doing this podcast 3 weeks ago, this match would have possibly made Jericho's top matches. I loved this match. I thought it was really good.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I just thought it was a really good match. Kind of, I've not seen him have that finish before, and the whole celebrate together and just kind of, Yeah, the whole thing. I just liked it. I liked the Eddie Guerrero finish. I liked the match itself. I think Jericho's doing some of his best work at the moment, and at 50 years old, I think that's an incredible achievement.
I think Jericho's by far my favourite wrestler to say, ask him. When he gets somebody in the walls of Jericho and he's going, ask him, ref, ask him. I love it so much. It's hilarious. A couple of moments where you heard him communicating with MJF, kind of coaching him through the match. Did you notice that when he was like, hit in the stomach again when they were up on the turnbuckle?
I didn't notice that.
Oh, well, only the pros notice these things. But I agree. I really like the end. And it's just the fact that he can be so sneaky, MJF, but then obviously Jericho's just got so much respect for that after. Angry in the moment, but then yes, now he's part of my team.
I love the stare down between Wardlow and Hager afterwards, even after they were all on the same team. You can tell there's going to be a fight there.
It's going to be interesting what happens to the inner circle.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah. I really like Wardlow as well.
Oh, really? God,
yeah.
He's the most lumbering wrestler I think I've ever. And we've watched Giant Gonzalez matches recently.
I don't think I've watched enough Wardlow wrestling, but I really like his bodyguard work so far.
Stellar bodyguard work.
He's got a real good body of work.
He's so good at standing still and staying nothing.
And looking mean.
Yeah, big respect. Cool. Okay. Well, that was quite good. We kept that quite brief for that particular match. I did actually have a clip of that Jericho singing stuff, but we've all heard it before. I'll stick it at the end. We'll stick it at the end of the podcast in case anybody wants to hear it again. Where should we go next? Brett, why don't you tell us something else that you loved?
Something else. Well, I mean, there's a couple of matches at
go for it.
Beginning half I could go for, but I'm gonna say John Silver versus Orange Cassidy, freshly squeezed. I really enjoyed this match. It was a lot of fun. I don't really know anything about John Silver, but he was like the perfect heel to Orange Cassidy's gimmick.
Don't you watch BTE, you loser?
God's sake!
Apparently he's on that.
He is basically the star of BTE at the moment.
Right. Yeah, he's a lot of fun as a heel, and he just like perfect foil for Cassidy. But like, good match. But the one point I'm going to pick out, which is why I chose this over the other one to mention, a one-handed gorilla press.
I know, that is insane.
Like, what the hell?
Hench. Amazing.
Like,
I love that.
I mean, he did have massive arms and he looks like quite a short guy.
Yeah.
This match made me think AEW really need to get a cruiserweight or a junior heavyweight title in the picture.
Yeah.
Just these guys are great wrestlers, and unfortunately, I don't think either one of them is. Well, neither of them are going to be anywhere close to the top of the card.
No.
TNT title, you can make an argument for Orange Cassidy being involved in that picture, but you're not going to get a John Silver in there. And just kind of having a junior heavyweight title could help elevate some of the lower, kind of lighter wrestlers in the division.
Yeah, like the guy who's with Cage. I can't remember his name. Do you know the guy?
Ricky Starks.
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
Mini Rock. Because
he does look a bit like...
he's wearing the shirts and stuff as well now, isn't he? I like it. And the chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
I mean, same with Jungle Boy or possibly even Marco Stunt, There's a lot of smaller wrestlers.
That's the thing with AEW in general. Like, their mid-card or their, bottom of the card, they got quality across the board.
And they use it, though.
Yeah, they allow them to have good matches. Like... If this was, I'm gonna snark on WWE again, but like if this match wouldn't happen, but if it was, it would be like a couple of minutes done and dusted out, and it'd be just some stupid thing. They wouldn't be allowed to showcase themselves at all, and AEW let them do that because it doesn't take away from main event, it doesn't take away from the big matches. It just gives you a solid pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, I like this because it was just a really fun sort of sprint of a match. It was just really a great little match, I thought. And especially because John said, because I hadn't heard of him or seen him, and I was like, wow, he's really good. Like the Spin Doctor looked great.
Yes, ripping out his pockets.
Ripping the pockets was such a great move.
Great move.
Every match on this pay-per-view was different. You know, each one had its own feeling, different story, different style.
Tell us about a good one, another good one then, John.
I'm so glad you came to me. I've got to talk about what was very nearly my match of the night, Darby Allin versus Cody motherfucking Rhodes. This match was
glad.
amazing. Like, it got me out of my seats twice. Like, the near fall from the coffin drop, I was like, whoa! I thought that was it. And the end with the pinning combinations where you go, okay, I've seen this before. What happens? They do this for a bit and then they get up and do some other moves. But then for Darby to actually win on that, I popped so hard.
Huge win for Darby. I did not see that coming because Cody only just got that title back.
Yeah.
An actual shock. And I know, Sam, you've said regularly on this podcast, just to be surprised in wrestling is what you want.
It's
you
the
want,
best
You want
thing.
those surprises.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried because, and it's probably right, but I've been really enjoying Cody's TNT Championship matches.
Yeah.
Like each one he's having, it's a different person, and I'm excited about like seeing this next match. Essentially, Cody just doing it's not a farewell tour, but it's essentially like, I get to wrestle everyone for a belt, and it's been really good because they've been great matches, and now it's gone to Darby, and I'm like, I don't think they're going to flip flop it like they did Brody, but maybe. I don't know.
No, I think kind of Darby more likely has a feud with someone else in him. I reckon Cody might be a step away from the title for a bit, might just be kind of doing his own thing for a while.
Yeah, go and have another feud and then come back to it, perhaps.
I don't know if he still is or is going to, but he's doing some TV, like not a charity show, what is it? Like a talent show type thing.
Is he Dancing with the Stars or something?
No, it's not that. It's almost like...
I would so watch
Dancing
it
with the Stardust.
Dancing with the Stardust.
Nice. Days.
Just back
Good
to the
work,
match,
Sam.
though. Like, I love the storytelling on this and how it was Cody being too cocky and Arn was having a go at him. Like, you got to get your head in the game. Head in the game.
Yeah.
So good.
Amazing.
I love
those
this.
press-ups.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing, you idiot?
This
Great
is so
stuff.
good. Another huge compliment to AEW is the way they use their managers and how they are coaches and managers, and they're not just a pair of boobs in some cases for WWE.
Oh, that's harsh on Heyman. He does a lot more.
Hey.
But
Nice.
I love how this match started as well with, firstly, Cody is hench. He's been doing a lot of work, hasn't he, on his shoulders and his arms. But I love Darby Allin as well with the skateboard. Smashing his skateboard into a car windscreen looks like a lot of fun.
I love his body paint as well.
And
With
then-
the dead trees.
Yeah,
They look
yeah.
look
And
great.
is that a new tattoo? It's like the tattoo of like the bone in his arm, but
I
that
don't
wasn't
remember-
painted. That's an
I don't remember
actual
seeing
tattoo,
it
isn't it?
before.
And then we have the post-match beatdown as well.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Taz,
With Taz and Brian Cage and
Taz is still excellent on the
Money
mic.
Rock.
Nothing's changed
Yeah.
there.
They've got a lot of talented people on the mic, a lot of hugely charismatic people.
Yeah.
When you think about some of the people, again, we can't help but compare, but some of the people that they give a mic to on WWE, my man Braun Strowman, when they try and get him to do a promo, just awful. And AEW, when you think about it, it's just stacked. Like Dean Ambrose can cut amazing promos. Obviously Jericho, MJF's one of the best in the whole industry.
Yeah.
You called
And
him
you've got
Dean
Eddie Kingston, who we
Ambrose.
talked about. Did I call him Dean Ambrose?
Yeah.
It's because we were talking about WWE. Oh my God. So
And finally,
sorry, John.
also, Mike Kyoto back in the ref
Hell yeah.
outfits.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely to see.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, a lot of fun, that match. I think I sent you a picture of my notes. I was frothing for this one, and it did not disappoint. Very excited to watch it, and it delivered, I think. Okay, Sam, best of the rest for you. Is it a
There are
match? Is
only
it a moment?
2 matches left on the card, and I really did enjoy this one, even though I think maybe it was a little bit silly. It was Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara.
Ooh, okay.
elite deletion.
Right, I can see this being a controversial. You know what? It wasn't amazing. It wasn't great, but it was, in my opinion, it was fine. It was it was fun. It was silly. It could have been sillier. It could have been funner, but hey, it was okay.
I thought the end where they're doing the sort of spot, obviously where Matt got concussed, I thought that was a bit bad taste.
Yeah, stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid. They could have done all sorts of other things. Why do they need to call back to that? Why do they need to have the blood?
Yeah, I thought that was too much.
Why are they faking a head injury almost and sort of taking
And even
the piss
Sammy
out?
sort of getting up and staggering like Matt did and stuff. I didn't like that very much.
I thought all all the other guys coming in as well just took away from it.
Oh, I think Private Party I was a bit like meh, but Gangrel, yes please.
Well,
that was fun.
that was fun to see, and Hurricane Helms.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. The Proud and Powerful and Private Party, because the
All
other
the
two
Ps.
sort of seem to have like moments, and it would be like part storyline. I really enjoyed the fireworks bit.
Yeah, I like that too.
Very dangerous, Brett. Very dangerous.
I really enjoyed the fireworks bit.
So going back
Kota
to
Ibushi, he should
your
have been
point,
in there.
Yeah.
going back to your point, Adam and Brett, like kind of Adam and John even, about like, the callbacks to the concussion stuff. Yeah, I do agree that was really in bad taste. But as kind of everyone said, the Gangrel, the Hurricane, I really want there to be a wrestler now who is just a gritty reboot of the Hurricane. I think that would be such a good character.
Gritty reboot.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan directs the Hurricane.
The fireworks was amazing. It was so dangerous.
The thing is, I think that's what these sort of not necessarily like burning people, but these matches need those visually spectacular moments, I think, in them, where so you're not just seeing someone hit someone with a trash can, or like we see that in the ring, you're filming a cinematic piece here, so let's they should have, I was worried, I didn't know how dry or wet it was where they are, but where he is based. But fireworks into that forest, those woods, those trees, I was just like, hang on, let's not start.
It was
burning more
crossed my
woodlands.
mind. Yeah,
I think
imagine.
this was a stupid match. I think it was a fun match, and I think the majority of it, I just sat there kind of being like, yeah, I'm entertained by this. It's silly, it's fun.
I just wonder if that match had happened on WWE, would we be like, oh God, look at them, they're trying so hard, what a load of shit.
I kind of feel like
I don't think so.
anything Matt Hardy does with this, I'm always going to be okay with, because it's Matt Hardy. He kind of built this sort of thing, this modern take on it.
I love the reference to when Hurricane Helms was like, well, I've been tied up this whole time. It's like, sorry, I had to move to AEW to AEW to finish this. Like, that was fun.
There was a very funny moment as well with them arguing outside and Matt Hardy just going, it's long-term storytelling.
Yeah. It was silly and stupid, like you say, but fun. Again, you could easily be all cynical about it, but let's avoid that. Okay, so it's not a great look when the last thing you get to is the women's match. But I think whenever AEW are planning anything, it's the last thing that they tend to get to, because this wasn't a bad match. I'd say this was like a 3-star match.
It was really good, like hard hitting.
But
No build
up.
Yeah, no build.
No real build, and their women's division just isn't anywhere near hitting any of the heights. When you look at NXT, even when you look at WWE main roster, they've got talent, but you'd like to think there should be a couple of matches on here. A couple of good matches.
Since this match, Tony Khan has even come out and apologised, saying he didn't build up the match enough for it. So there is an acknowledgement on AEW's part that they're not doing... it's not good enough.
I like some of the moments. Again, like Sam, you said earlier about whether or not the apron is the hardest part of the ring. They had the steel ring frame bit in here where Shida gets... Oh no, it was Rose gets Shida's leg through the steel ring frame. I was just like, again, second pay-per-view in a row that the ring frame's being used. But I really quite enjoyed the bit where Nyla sort of arrogantly decided against going for the 3 count with Shida, and then Shida did it. And that little grin she had on her face, she was so happy.
I do love Shida. I think Shida's great.
Yeah.
Again, this was a match which kind of... It was bigger than the sum of its parts, kind of Vicky Guerrero losing her shit afterwards, thinking, there was the opportunity to win that and you failed.
Yeah.
Good match. I think AEW is getting stronger with its women's division. It's nowhere near the level of WWE, but it's an improvement from where it was at.
Is it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
With this match, it feels like it's where at same time, like 6 months ago, 12 months ago. Like, this was like one of the first title matches, wasn't it? These two.
There's not been enough matches, but I'd say the match quality of AEW's women's division has gone up substantially from where it was at a year ago.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I should say, I should have said this right at the start. I have not been watching Dynamite. I've been reading the results, but I haven't been watching it. But you guys are regularly saying how good Dynamite has been, and I've watched the odd segment. But if they're having good women's matches on there, then that's good to hear.
Hopefully they get Thunder Rosa, and that
would be big.
That would be big.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously we've got star performer, overall rank, and listener comments to get through, but just before that, Brett, were there any other negatives for you? Come on. Anything to dig out about this pay-per-view?
No, not really. Like, the only bit I wasn't that it was a bad match. I thought it was a good match. It's just not my cup of tea, which was the main event. And that's just because I don't generally like those matches.
Yeah.
So it's nothing on it. It wasn't terrible. So I don't have anything.
I've got something.
Go on.
Vicky Guerrero and empty stadiums do not mix.
Fair. If I had to get really nitpicky, I would say I didn't like the fact that Matt Jackson finished off FTR with just a super kick at the end of all of it. It felt like the actual pin kind of came a little bit out of nowhere in that match.
Fair enough. His bare foot, with his injured bare foot.
Oh, I don't want to see wrestlers bare feet. Actually, that's
no.
Nobody wants a bare foot to the face. Do they?
Feet in wrestling, please.
Actually, some people do want that a lot.
Not on this podcast.
I was going to say very odd people, but no, each to their own.
Yeah, whatever.
Each to their own. If any of you are listening, you've got a massive foot fetish, just get in touch. Sam will send you some pictures.
Crushing up hot dogs in between his toes.
I think that moment just then was the worst of the rest of this podcast, that's for sure. Star performer, who is the MVP? John, who's your pick?
Cash Wheeler for me.
Ooh, that is a good choice, I think. Brett?
I'm gonna go Kenny.
Okay.
The cleaner.
Nice. And Sam?
Matt Jackson put in a shift.
But you didn't like it that he won the match?
Didn't like that final moment.
I think I'll go for Eddie Kingston. Just because, again, if you told me that this was going to be happening a few months ago, I would have been like, he's serious? Because I think he is limited. I think everybody knows he is limited in the ring. But the fact that he can be so good on the mic, that he can get a title spot and make that I think he's elevated that championship in that promo when he was like, it's all about this is the reason why I have to tell my mum that she hasn't got a granddaughter. It's about this title and this title only. And also, it's a fucking great belt, isn't it? It's huge.
It's lovely.
I love the way the ref struggles to lift it.
It reminds me a lot of the WCW actually.
I love the idea of Eddie Kingston's mum going, well, that's fair enough. What was your excuse for 2 years ago when we didn't have the AEW about?
Poor old Roofy.
Anyway, so yeah, that's my star performer. Overall rank, this is going to be interesting. AEW always does well. Sam, do you have the spreadsheet open?
I do.
Because I'm interested to see how this performs. I'd love to know how well some of the previous AEW pay-per-views have done. We're going to give it a score out of 10. I'm going to go first here, so I'm not influenced. I was going to give it an 8, and then I was like, what am I talking about? I really enjoyed all of this, and there was some crowd stuff. We got some feedback from the crowd. I'm going to give it a 9. It didn't have like a blow away, fuck me, this is one of the best matches I've ever seen for me. So therefore it can't be.
Just for reference, 9 is the highest score I think you give. Oh, actually, I think you've once given a 9.5. That's a very good score.
I think that was for a takeover.
Yeah, it was.
9.5, wasn't it? Yeah. 9 for me. Where should we go next? Brett.
Me next. I'm gonna go for a solid 8. Because I really enjoyed the first half of this pay-per-view, and the second half was good, but I didn't love it. So I've got to go 8. So it was all good, but the first half was just like, I was absolutely loving it, and then it dipped.
Dropped off a bit. Well, John?
I'm going 9. It would be 10 if Young Bucks FTR headlined, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
but
small
9
margins. Sam.
I am going to go 8.75.
Oh, why?
I feel like this is better than an 8.5. I don't feel like it was up to a 9 for me.
I've scored higher than Sam on AEW. This is amazing. Okay, so what's the average and how does it compare?
Overall score for AEW Full Gear 2020, 8.688.
Oof.
That's not bad.
Oof. Oof, that's great, is what I mean. Don't misjudge my oofs, man.
Oh, sorry. Wow. Awkward. Which makes this the second best AEW pay-per-view we have reviewed since AEW was founded. Top one being Double or Nothing 2019, which was the Dustin
what happened in that?
Cody Bloodfest.
Okay. Most blood ever.
Bloody.
No, this is the best performing AEW pay-per-view of the year.
This is the best pay-per-view of the year, easily.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, AEW in 2020 have had a stellar year for pay-per-views, averaging, between 7.0, or just 7, as known in most circles, and 8.6. So, that's great.
Great. Thanks for the stats, Sam. That was excellent. Okay, let's have a quick break and then let's fly through some comments from our lovely listeners.
Right on the apron. The spine run right down the apron. The apron doesn't give a damn. Your body does.
Okay, do you guys want to hear what our listeners thought, what they liked?
Nope.
Did they hate it?
I mean, yes.
Well, spoilers, they did not hate it. Okay, so Graham Hughes loved the promos on the buy-in, Hangman versus Omega, and all the title matches and results. Some great storying throughout. Didn't care for Hardy versus Guevara, and thought the fireworks spots were a bit irresponsible.
They were very irresponsible.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun, though, right? Gangrel can still bust out a move, though.
We didn't see Gangrel spit at anyone.
No, he looks surprisingly buff.
COVID times as well, though, so maybe
no spitting from Gangrel. Nick's design, didn't watch it, but the fact Eddie Kingston isn't the champ is disgraceful. In fact, I'm going to spend the next 3 months claiming that he won due to all the legal pitfalls, and hopefully I can get litigation to force the courts to book the champion I want.
Election chat.
Nice.
We've done so well up until this point.
I know. Well, John and Brett and I promised we wouldn't mention it because Sam's been so gutted about the result.
Unbelievable. Fake news from Adam.
Hey, I was going to target Brett, but I always target Brett with politics stuff, so I moved it to you. So you should be pleased that I'm a good friend to Brett, and Brett should be pleased, and John should also be pleased.
I'm going to hold a press conference next to a sex shop to dispel these rumours.
Okay, let's bring this back on track. Loserweight. Match-wise, almost perfect. Kenny versus Hangman was hard-hitting with the knowledge and hype that they'll be circling back to this when Kenny is champ. Elite Deletion was tons of fun. Enjoyed the surprisingly emotional finish to the main event. FTR versus Bucks was an amazing love letter to tag wrestling and easily lived up to 5 years of build. But Hangman Omega versus the Bucks at Revolution was still better. Ooh.
I mean, I actually think that was, like, if we're talking Dragunov versus Walter for match of the year, maybe the contender for that would be Bucks and Omega and Hangman.
That was so good, that tag match. Sorry, back to it. Happy to see Shida win too, because Nyla Rose is pretty limited. Basically, great wrestling, great stories. AEW is the best.
It is.
It is so good, isn't it?
Can't disagree with that. I just find it hard to keep up, like to watch it every week when I'm really trying to keep up with reading all the stuff about WWE. And
I like it because you can watch it on ITV. Just get on the player. It's great.
I like it because they don't have sex offenders working for them.
We
can't. Allegedly.
That's not wanting up.
They allegedly don't have sex offenders.
Clint McCormack. Oh, sorry, Brett. I was trying to get this podcast.
Brett's gone exclusive. Brett's gone exclusive.
No.
Okay.
Best not go there.
Clint McCormick, sorry. Where to start? The tag match was good as any tag match ever. The main event was awesome. Paige Omega was a cracker, but we know they held back as this feud will continue. Rhodes versus Allen. God, I went completely blank on Darby Allin's last name there for a second. Rhodes versus Allen was superb as Rhodes continues to elevate others on pay-per-view. The women's match was just okay. bit harsh on the women's match. And finally, Kill the Duopoly. Didn't really like Shida versus Nyla or Jericho versus MJF that much, but the rest was fire.
Very nice. Loads of comments. Loads of people watching it and enjoying it. So thank you very much to everybody who did get in touch. Next week, are we doing an undertaking?
Yes.
Oh, do we know what matches we're watching yet?
No.
Ooh, surprise matches, people.
Yeah, hopefully it's not some fucking lumbering idiot like we've had for the last 3 or 4 matches, although we've loved it.
Yeah, I think I gave Undertaker 4 in one of those matches.
Yeah, that's because you're John.
Hot take from John. Giant Gonzalez versus Undertaker. John's rating 4 stars.
That's a good match, guys. Bar burner.
Anyway, so we've got that to look forward to. I love the undertaking. Brett, this is your section of the pod. Don't fluff it up.
Okay. So if people want to get in touch with us, they can send their emails to hardestpartofthering@gmail.com. They can catch us on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. We are at hardestpartpod.
Thank you, everyone involved in the listening to, producing and making of this podcast. We will be back next week. My name is Adam. Goodbye. Goodbye, Sam.
Goodbye.
Goodbye to John.
But is this still your show reel for BBC Radio
Adam's
2?
been replaced with a robot.
No. Yeah. This is, if this was a show reel, imagine. Maybe we should just clip this bit, just send it off to the BBC or something, see what happens.
Nothing would happen.
Bye, Brett.
Bye.
That was the hardest part of the ring.
That is the hardest part of that ring.
On the hardest part of the ring.
The hardest part of the ring!
That was quite a moment.